So Stephanie White is the coach of the Fever. And look, I still believe she's a good coach. I think she did a horrible job yesterday, but coaches can have bad games. Coaches can have bad games. That is a fact. However, we have now seen her talking about the referees. And this is the best way. This is the best way you can do it. It's the best way you can do it. We know, we've seen Christy Sides in the media do almost nothing. Apparently last year, it got so bad that Lynn Dunn, it only came out this age, she had to actually send clips to the league and is like, this is ridiculous. This refereeing is ridiculous. And I've already made a video. I've made a video a little bit later today, and I'm going to talk about that, where I've actually talked about how their WNBA are hiring people to try to improve the referees, and the referee's getting worse this season. But I'll talk about that. But I'm just going to specifically talk about Stephanie White's response here. Anyway, so you can see right here, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White and how teams are going to play the Fever. They're going to push us. They're going to shove us. They're going to hold us. They're going to do whatever they're allowed to get away with. We're going to have to figure out a way to use that physicality against them. We're going to have to figure out a way to use that physicality against them. And that is the best. That is the best of all worlds with that. It is the best of all worlds. But yeah, it is. It's the best. It's genuinely, because not only is she setting the tone for the league, being like, yeah, we know we're going to be ref bad. Yeah, we know we're going to be ref badly. We are, and also now for the players, we can't expect calls. If you go to your players, we can't expect calls. We can't expect the refs to give anything. And I gotta say this is a much better response than something the Christy Sides would do. And again, look, I don't know if the Fever have any intricate offenses or anything under Stephanie White. But one thing you know is that as a game manipulator, for lack of a better word, Stephanie White is better. Like, let's be real. Teams, coaches, players have done it all the time. When a couple of refereeing decisions go against them at tough times in series, in playoffs, they'll make sure to talk about the refs. They'll make sure to talk about the refs because they know you can get into a really good situation that if it's like the league are talking, the refs are like, oh, this player's being refereed unfairly, then it's a, like, it's just, like, it's going to change things. It's going to change things. And you can't say that a referee or a coach coming on screaming at a ref doesn't change things. It's not going to do any good. I was like during the game, like, someone needs to take a tech from Indiana. They've had it was like 6 calls in a row went against Indiana. There was literally a sequence of play where they got called for a BS offensive foul. They got called, Aaliyah Boston scored an open layup and they called her for, Leah Boston scored an and one, they called her for a travel. She didn't move either pivot foot. Like, she kind of came down off the dribble and she didn't even move at pivot foot, let alone her pivot foot. She didn't move either foot. She didn't even establish a pivot foot by the time the ball went into the basket. Like, you can't really call a travel to establishing a pivot foot. And they called that, and a few things were going wrong. And this is like maybe 90 seconds after the DeWanna Bonner situation where they've used all of their challenges. And I'm literally like, at this stage, it's a, like, you just tee up. You just get a tee. You get a technical foul at this stage. It's to change the momentum. Something need to change. I thought maybe halftime would change the momentum, and I didn't think the refereeing was as bad in the second half. They were just bad. They were just really bad. And that's the thing. It's not unfair refereeing. It's, it's a physical league, but like, unless the Indiana Fever aren't playing, and then we see the freaking Wings. Was it the Wings? I think it might have been the Wings versus, I can't remember. Was it Wings versus Lynx where they called a foul, or was it where they called more fouls than minutes? They had more fouls called than minutes in the game. It was just crazy. And now you've got a coach coming out here basically saying, like, good. We're gonna have to figure it out. We're gonna have to use that physicality against them. Going to our players, telling their players we're not getting a single call. Like, it is. It's a fact. It's a fact. If the other team's gonna be, there's disadvantages being overly physical. You got to be able to burn them. And it's not about getting stronger. It's not about hitting the weight room. It's, you got to use, if somebody's putting too much pressure, you got to be able to use pressure against teams. And you know what? If you're a coach, you got to prep for that. You got to prep for that. Just like Christy Sides refused to prep for the double teams, she refused to prep for the blitzes. She just kept saying paint touches. At least instead of paint touches, and Caitlin Clark needs to cut down turnovers by standing there in the corner. That's the easiest way to have no turnovers, by not touching the ball. It is straight up. It is straight up the best way to go about it. The best way to go about referees being bad is just saying, you know what? All's good. All is good. They're going to do it. We're going to take advantage of it. We can't complain about the refereeing. We gotta just live with bad refs. And you know what is the best way to go about it? As a player who coaches in a country where there are horrendous refs, you cannot. If you are a player, you cannot let refs get into your head. If you're a coach, sometimes get a tactical tech. Like getting a tactical tech is something that people do. It's something that happens in basketball, and all around it's something that I think Stephanie White is going to do a lot more. Like, Stephanie White easily could have been teed up in that game. We can be honest. Stephanie White could have very, very easily been teed up with how she reacted to the refs. But this is exactly how you want a coach to react. You want a coach to basically say the refs are garbage, but then also say, I mean, look, we're going to have to adjust to the other team. Her saying they're going to push us, they're going to shove us, they're going to do whatever they get away with. That's not a knock on a ref. She didn't mention referees, even though we know what that means. And then also saying we have to figure out a way to use that physicality against them by also not necessarily giving the excuse. Not giving the excuse, holding the league accountable to do something with the damn refs, holding the referees accountable, but also saying, look, we know we're going to be ref bad. We know teams are going to shove us. And we got to just deal with that better, which is what you're supposed to do as a coach. You're supposed to prep for every situation. And the reality is that if you know you're going to be refereed badly, as a coach, your job is to prep to be refereed badly. So, yeah, it's a really interesting situation. And all around, it's a good response, a real good response from Stephanie White. And I gotta say, I do appreciate Stephanie White's interviews have been great. There's been a lot of really positive things about Stephanie White as a coach. Look, I think she coached that game like she was Christy Sides. But I think in general, you can see everything from after game, before the game, how she talks to players, the practices, everything they're running. Look, she is a significant upgrade as coach. But anyway, yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.